Hello, people out there. This is Bob babbling on. I've been hearing so much on the news about children being sexually abused, and these monsters are keep getting out of the dang jails, prisons. Now, why is that? I would think that if these people that the judge or the parole board continue to let out of prison, these monsters, and they go out and hurt another person, then maybe the parole board and the judge should be held accountable for letting these monsters back out in society. You know, I was sexually abused as a child. It took me years to break all the dysfunctional cycles that I was raised up in. And I don't care what any monster says, it's not an excuse to go out and cause harm to somebody else. Because these monsters try to use the excuse, oh, I was sexually abused when I was a child. I wasn't loved. That's a bunch of bullshit. Because you are an individual person, you can make good choices in your life, and there's a choice between righteous and sadistic. And everybody has that capability of learning what is righteous and what is sadistic and to do the right thing. So I don't care about these monsters at all. I have kept trying to tell the government that why should we give them any kind of humanity? Why should we continue to support them in prisons? Why not just dig a freaking pit in the desert, take them over to the pit, drop them off, and walk away? That's all we need to do. We don't need to support these people. I wouldn't want my tax dollars going to feed these people in prison. I'm sure the victims and the victims' families do not want their tax dollars to going to feed these people while they're sitting in a prison. Killing them is too easy. There's no suffering in that. They need to live out their life in a freaking pit in the desert. And that's all that needs to be said about that. But the judges and the parole boards keep letting these monsters out of the prisons, which they need to be in there, and they keep putting the wrong people in prison. So they could have room, they let these monsters out so they could have room for somebody who apparently must have been sitting in their vehicle and listening to the stereo, and a police officer thinks that they're drunk driving. How is it that they're drunk driving if they're sitting in their vehicle, not going anywhere, but the guy has to spend a year in prison because the cop said he's drunk driving? So we're wasting tax dollars on these little dinky crimes that violate the so-called laws, and we're wasting tax dollars on these people. Some of these people who have drinking problems, drug problems, they need to be referred to a mental health facility where maybe perhaps they could get better help there. But these child molesters, these monsters who rape and murder people, they need to be put in that pit. They didn't have any sympathy. They had no morals or ethics. They made the choices of violating another human being to the extreme. So therefore, these monsters need to be held accountable. They need to sit in this pit for the natural life cycle so they could sit there and suffer, because a victim of sexual abuse, it's a lifelong sentence in their mind. It took me almost 20 years of my life to break all the dysfunctional behaviors I learned when I was a child. It took me all these years to come over all my fears and never fear anything again. I'm a survivor from abuse. I do not allow anybody to have that control over my emotions and feelings. But the thing is that righteous is a choice. They made the choice of violating somebody from their own free will. So therefore, these monsters need to be set in the prisons the rest of their freaking life, in a freaking pit. Why should we provide them with food, medical care, health care, education? These people cannot be reprogrammed, especially if they got a second or third offense. These people who have a second or third offense need to be thrown in that pit. I've heard stories where a police officer had informed me how this woman one time wanted to get rid of her boyfriends. So each time she wanted to get rid of her boyfriends, she had her daughter confess to the police that her boyfriend molested her. Now, after 10 people going to prison, police finally caught on to this situation. So now there's 10 people who's been damaged by this woman who destroyed 10 people's lives. Because that would be the worst title that you could put on an innocent person who did no harm. So in that case, I would say that any child molester who has a second offense, there is genetic evidence in any case, those people need to be thrown in a pit. And we as a society should have nothing to do with these people. It's not our job to take care of them in a prison. We're wasting tax dollars on these monsters. And I believe, like I said, the judge and their parole board, if they let these monsters out, then maybe they should be held accountable for when they repeat the same thing, killing some innocent person or innocent child. So these judges and these parole boards are the problem. Either put parents on the parole board who have lost their children to this, or otherwise, perhaps maybe society itself should just take it into their own hands. Because I don't believe in killing people, but I believe you could dig a deep enough hole and throw these bastards in there. Because these monsters need to be taken out of society permanently. It just sickens me that every time I turn the TV on this past week, it's all I hear. A doctor, 103 children. All these little children are being raped, murdered. It is just sickening. I don't know what the heck is going on out there, but here's the deal. These people, whoever are doing this, need to be definitely taken out of society because they're just going to continue this path of destroying other people's lives. So right now, that's all I'm going to say. I hope that the government hears this message. I hope the judges and the prosecutor attorneys hear this message because it took me 40 years of my life to become a survivor of sexual abuse of my childhood. And I had to break every cycle. I had to learn how to become a parent. I had to learn how to become a human being. And it was by God's grace that carried me through to teach me to be a real human being, to love people unconditionally until they showed me that they're unworthy of love. So here's all I have to say, any final. So we're a society, and if it's we the people, then we need to take control over this matter and throw these monsters in a pit and don't worry about how they're going to live in that pit, not worry about anything because they didn't have any compassion towards their victims. So there's the deal. Have the government make a law that we throw all these child molesters, these monsters, into a pit in the desert and call it a day. Thank you for listening to my video and try to have a good day. The world is out there very sadistic. Teach your children how dangerous it is out there. Love your children. Every time that you separate, tell your children that you love them, that you care about them, and somehow make sure that they're protected some way. Do everything in your power, even if you have to attach a camera on them. I don't care. They got those little cameras. You know, I wish I could attach a camera to my son because my son can't tell me nothing. So when he goes to school, it's only by God's faith. I have no idea what goes on there, but all I can do is hope that the school and the people teach him, respect him, and treat him good. Well, I'm running out of minutes, and all I like to say is get these monsters out of society. Hold the judges and the parole boards accountable for allowing these monsters back out. Bye.